Good evening, councillors and members in the public gallery. I will officially open this evening's ordinary council meeting at 7 p.m. Thank you for your attendance tonight. I'd like to remind everyone in the chambers to ensure that comments are respectful to the council and all meeting attendees, including city officers and those in our public gallery. Please note this meeting is being live streamed. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we are meeting, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and pay my respects to elders, past, present and emerging. Item 3 is announcements from the presiding member, and there are none this evening. Item 4 is attendance. Councillor Sutherland and Councillor Bull are on a leave of absence, and all other councillors are present in the chamber this evening. Can I ask applications for leave of absence? Are there any councillors who'd like to apply for leave? Councillor Ladder.
Sorry, just pulling up the dates. Apply for a leave of absence from the 28th of February to the, from the 27th of February to the 3rd of March, please.
Inclusive?
Yeah.
Thank you. I'll also apply from the 17th of March to the 24th of March. Anyone else? If not, can I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Palmer, seconded Deputy Mayor. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, item 5 is disclosures of interest. Are there any interest councillors? Councillor Ostaszewski.
Thank you. My first one's for item 10.2.1, financial report for the period ended 31 December 2024. The attachment mentions Watton Skate Park and surrounding facilities, and also mentions the underground power program. I'm a member of the Morley Windmill Sports Club who leases a building at Watton Reserve, and I have information from the department that I have an interest in common at this stage regarding underground power. It's an impartial interest, staying in the room. My second one is for item 10.1.3, the Morley Station Precinct Structure Plan Amendment. My mother lives in her house near the border of the area for the structure plan, and I'm also a member of the Morley Windmill Sports Club who leases a building at Watton Reserve, which is in one of the areas discussed in the report. It's an impartial interest and I'll be staying in the room. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. As declared last week, 10.3.2, the Bayswater Bowls and Recreation Club. I think I'm a member, impartiality interest, and I'll stay in the room.
Thank you. Councillor Eveson.
Yes, sorry. Item 10.1.3, it's an impartial. This is the Morley Station Precinct Structure Plan MRS Amendment. I think, as I mentioned, impartial because I'm a member of the Morley Windmill Sports Club who leased the building at Watton Reserve, which is included in the image shown in the report. So I'll stay in the room for that one. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? Councillor Palmer. Sorry, just your microphone.
It's starting up for some reason. Thank you. Just 10.1.4, the out of school hours care. There was a presentation last week, and just to say that I'm a non-profit volunteer chairperson of the Bayswater Childcare Association, and it's impartial. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll now... Councillor Ladder.
10.1.4, out of school hours care at Gibney Reserve. I have a child at Maylands Peninsula Primary School, which is the subject of the state election commitment mentioned in the report and the proposed resolution. Thanks.
And so it's a...
Sorry, impartial, and I'll stay in the room.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Very similar to that item 10.1.4 at Gibney Reserve. I also have children at the Maylands Peninsula Primary School, which is mentioned in the report. It's impartial. I will stay in the room.
Thank you. Okay, so we will now move on to item 6, public question time. And members of the gallery, I'll first ask for questions on items on this evening's agenda, and then I will open to questions on items not on the agenda. Please provide your name and suburb before you ask your question, and keep in mind that you are limited to 3 questions. So can I ask if anyone has a question on an item on this evening's agenda? Come forward.
Hi, I'm Shane Kinnear from Bayswater. In reference to item 10.3.2, the Bayswater Bowling Club application for the CSRFF funding, and also some allocations of funds in next year's budget. I have 2 questions, and they are linked, so I'll read both of them together. So are the councillors aware that both the Bedford and Morley bowling clubs were also assisted by the City of Bayswater in their application for CSRFF funding to replace one each of their grass greens with a synthetic surface in the same 2021-22 budget year? And my second question is, did the councillors know that the City of Bayswater allocated financial support to both Bedford and Morley bowling clubs to the value of 33% of their total projects, while the Bayswater Bowling and Recreation Club is only asking for 29%?
Thank you for your questions, and the answer to both is yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Hi, Star Giannetti from Maylands. I'm a mother of 4 children at Maylands Peninsula Primary School. My questions relate to agenda item 10.1.4, the out-of-school care hours, develop and operate at Gibney Reserve. Sorry, I'm nervous. My first question, on page 25, it outlines in the expression of interest process that there were gaps revealed in the project scope, and I was wondering what gaps were identified, please.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the director to the acting CEO.
Okay.
Through the chair. So in terms of the scoring system that was used is what's normally used with any type of lease that the city considers. So there's a matrix that's followed through that process, and the scores are determined using that matrix. I haven't got the particular details in front of me in terms of what that matrix, what the scores or the comments that came from the panel that assessed it, but it is basically, it follows a system, and the scores are derived based using that system, using that matrix that's in that system.
But specifically, do you know any of the gaps that were identified through that process? Because my next question is about the matrix, but more about what came up.
The scoping gaps. The scoping gaps.
Yeah, well, the what's the word? The report just says gaps identified, so I wasn't sure
what that refers
to.
So,
through the chair, we don't have that information here, but we can provide that information after the meeting. We can get in touch and talk through that process.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you. My second question. Oh, hang on. Second question. So on page 26, under the expression of interest assessment, and this links into the scoring matrix, I'm wondering why the 2 received proposals were classified as poor when they both achieved a total of 60 plus in the scoring matrix. The total says non-price score, but for this expression of interest, it was a very uniquely worded one, and it wasn't really based on price, so it doesn't make a lot of sense that the outcome is excluding price. The reason I ask this is the commercial proposal of the Mosh Kids submission was scored significantly higher than the other proposal with Bayswater Childcare Association, and by removing it, it skews the data, which doesn't make a lot of sense with the overall scores should be 66.5 for Bayswater Childcare and 65 for Mosh Kids, meaning that they're a lot closer.
So the question.
And my question, so omitting the data, in my mind, it makes it difficult for the councillors to understand that the 2 submissions were actually significant. So the question actually is, oh, hang on, that's my, sorry. Okay, so my question is, why did you not include the data for the overall amount to allow the councillors to understand that both submissions were sufficient, meaning that we could move ahead with this proposal now, regardless of my third question, which is to do with the state government giving funding. That's another part.
Okay, so just the second question, I'll go to the acting CEO to respond.
Thanks.
Through the chair, again, I don't have all the specific details about how it was assessed. Based on the scoring that's provided here, it does fall within the range of the 21 to 55% for both. But what we can do is when we do meet up to discuss, we can go through and explain how the scoring system works.
That's fine. I understand how the scoring system works. But my question is why is it being presented in a way that is showing that they're both lacking, when both of them, their total score was more than 60, meaning that they were actually good submissions and we could move forward and have a resolution for this. But we can talk further afterwards if you want to, if that's a part of the process. My third question is, sorry, I'm all shaky. By waiting for the state government election process to be finalised and election promises to be realised and then funded and then implemented and all of the processes around that, Maylands needs this now. So why are we waiting for that process to happen when we have two very, in my mind, two very good companies who are willing to jump in and do it now? We need more than what the state government's going to provide in the long term. Even if they provide a 100-place centre, we need more.
The question, I understand the question.
Yeah.
I'll go to the acting CEO.
So through the chair, what we're basically suggesting here is to wait and to see what the outcome is of the election, to understand whether the election commitment is coming forward. That will basically provide some further information for the council to consider the matter and to understand what the implications are of that election commitment, whether it's coming forward or not. So it's just to be able to understand how that plays out in the overall project.
And I fully respect that, but that's not fair to our community.
Sorry, this is public question time.
Okay.
So we don't allow for deputations or comment.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions in regards to an item on this evening's agenda? No, this is public question time. Any questions on items not on this evening's agenda? Please come forward.
Good evening. My name's Diane Akhtar and I live on the Maylands Peninsula. Sorry, I'm too short. Okay, the question I have is about engagement with the community. And on the 30th of January, Jeremy Edwards sent out a letter inviting residents to the upcoming 26th of February master plan engagement activity. And what I would like to know is what was the source of the distribution list for that particular email?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, in terms of the distribution of, I know the letters have been distributed based on the catchment area around the lakes. The email was also distributed, I believe, according to that. But what I can do is find out exactly what that list contains and compare it to the actual mailing list for the letters.
Thank you. I guess the other question is the same distribution list used for the previous meeting on the 12th of December?
I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, I believe so, but I can confirm that.
Okay, I guess the concern I have is that it may have been that you've used the Engage Bayswater site.
So we'll get back to you with that response.
Yes.
Do you have another question?
Yes, I do. So how many people were on that list as well? I'd like that information to be included.
I'll go to the acting CEO.
Yeah, I'll take that on notice and get that information.
Okay,
Thank you. Any other questions? Please come forward. sorry, just Miss Lance.
Hi, Catherine Lance, and I'm from Maylands. With regard to my question, it's actually about the Bungana, Brearley Islands, recently so-called revegetation, removal or pruning. Now, I just want to clarify, it's actually called a pollarding, and it's when the stumps are reduced to 1 metre or so. Usually the arborist is the one who oversees that because it can cause decay or damage, or worse still, it can kill the stump. So with regard to that, my question is did they trial anything like nets which can be put on by drones on islands, spikes or noise devices?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, the city did look at...
You might have to talk up, Luke, I'm a bit deaf.
I'll bring the microphone a bit closer. We did look at different options of dealing with the cormorant population there. So we did trial a acoustic device that is meant to make them move away. It didn't work. We looked at other options. We did consider netting and other ideas. Those ideas were not practical and weren't pursued.
Okay, so I can add to that, which I won't at the moment.
You have another question?
Yes, I do. My second question is, as from 2000, Satterley Estate was completed, and it was actually the City of Bayswater who took over thereafter, with potential or should be planned water filtration. Now, that was in 2000. Nothing has been done ever since. There's been many complaints, many emails. It's only in the last 5 years that something was done, and for that we have seen no response to the water quality. So my question is, under the circumstances, our rates are 50-60% higher than the City of Bayswater average. So I feel with our amenities, particularly being depleted, talk of the jetty, rotunda, boardwalks going, as we know, our curbing is damaged.
So the question is?
Yes, the question is, like I said, I believe our rates should now reflect the lack of maintenance and the lack of attention when it was first noted about the filtration.
So the question is?
Yeah, our rates should be reduced.
So your question is,
The
will
estate,
your rate... So,
yeah.
sorry, Mr Lance. Your question is, will your rates be
Yes.
reduced?
Yes. Question.
I'll go to the Director of Finance.
Through you, Madam Mayor, that particular question, along with the rates that are charged for all ratepayers, will be addressed by Council as part of its business planning and budget process.
Thank you. Do you have a third question?
Third question is, on the 30th of January, the city was notified about endemic trees being removed from the islands, particularly Bungana. I was there on the 31st, Friday the 31st, and approximate 3 o'clock in the afternoon, CEO Jeremy Edwards and Director Bianca Sandry came. Now, my question is, if they knew about those endemic trees on the Thursday night, why did they not actually stop proceedings or works and then recollect, work out what was going to be done, and then recommence once those issues had been addressed?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Acting CEO.
Through the chair, the situation out there that occurred was disappointing for the city and for everyone involved. When it did occur, I have looked into it. I did look into and spoke to the different people that have been involved in that works, and through that process, we come to the conclusion that it was basically pruned in error. Those few trees were pruned in error, and we've taken some actions. We've also had some issues in terms of the contractor using glyphosate, and I think it's quite well known that to the community that we're not using the contractor anymore, and we've dealt with the matter.
Can I just say to that?
Sorry, Mrs. Lance, this isn't an opportunity to provide
Yeah,
comment.
I'm
It is
just
public
going to
question
say-
time. Mrs. Lance, please.
Yeah, I'm
Thank
just
you.
going to say that's
Mrs.
fine, but at the end of the day, the glyphosate happened afterwards, so we can get the timeline
Thank
straight.
you for your questions.
Thank you.
Warren Lance, I'm also on the Maylands Peninsula, and similar topic. I saw Jeremy Edwards and Bianca at overseeing Lake Bungana on Friday the 31st of January. Because I'd been advised that on the video of the July council meeting there was discussion about denuding the islands, I asked Jeremy whether that was the case. Was this discussed in July? He told me no. But when I read a response to a question in last month's minutes, it says his response, Jeremy's response, and he was talking about denuding of the islands. The city has been looking at a number of different strategies to try and improve the water quality, and this one, being the denuding, has been discussed for approximately 10 to 12 months. So I would like to know, when was it discussed and who with? Because this is contradictory.
So, Mr. Lance, as you can see, our CEO is on leave
Well,
at the
then
moment.
surely he
so we
can
will take
arrange
that. We'll take that
an
on
answer.
notice.
Okay. I have another question, similar. Again, out of those minutes, and this applies to your acting CEO sitting there. He made the comment about the denuding and the cormorant impact on the water quality. The consultants have estimated that approximately 30% of the nutrients in Lake Brearley have come from cormorant gonos. Now, is there a report to substantiate that?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO to respond.
Through the chair, that estimation of 30% was prepared by the consultant when they did the water balance for the lake. So determining where the water's coming from, where the nutrients are entering the system. So it was determined that 30%, and that's a conservative estimate based on the numbers they used, that is coming from the cormorant population when they're nesting
Will you
on
have a
those
copy
islands.
of that report, please?
Well, tomorrow night, the consultant will be
Are they going to bring the
presenting.
report? It's relevant.
They'll be there to discuss it, so that is one of the inputs into the master plan, and it can be discussed tomorrow night.
Well, I want to see a report. Third question. Now, we all know that in 2023, an island was denuded in Lake Brearley due to supposedly the cormorants. Now, that happened. Was there any evidence to support what happened then?
Thank you.
2023.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, back in 2023, that particular island did have cormorants nesting in it. There's plenty of photos, and you can even look on aerial photos. You can see that they've been nesting on that island. So the works were undertaken to try to deal with the cormorant population on that island, and what occurred after that is the cormorants moved to the other islands.
That wasn't my question. My question was, what evidence was there for what you did? You denuded the island. I mean, even in previous responses to other questions, you stated you didn't have evidence of the water quality back in 2023. So why did you take the action? There's got to be a reason.
Thank you, Mr. Lance. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, that decision was made by the city, believing that by removing the vegetation, the cormorants will move from that location. There is papers out there that show that there has been studies done elsewhere showing that cormorants do contribute to the nutrient load in lakes.
Thank you for your questions, Mr. Lance.
Were those considered at the time you took the action in 2023? That's the question. You're not answering it, sorry.
Sorry, just to clarify, you want to know
I want to
what
know
studies were
what
taken into
evidence
account
the
in
city-
2023?
Yeah, what did the city use as evidence to justify the action they took to denude the island in Lake Brearley? Full stop. Simple question.
I'll go to the acting CEO.
Yeah, through the chair, we knew that cormorants were on that particular island. It was very obvious.
We all knew that.
Yes.
Please
and
remain respectful.
we cleared those islands and we've revegetated with more appropriate species on there. The types of trees on there were basically attracting cormorants to nest there.
Thank you for your questions.
That's not an answer to the question.
Thank you for your questions. Anyone else have a question? Mr. Butler?
Lawrence Butler, Langley Road, Bayswater. From the questions last week, the staff Christmas party is a way to reward and recognise staff for their contribution to the community throughout the year. Don't our staff get paid wages and salaries, just like most of us do? So why is this continuing? The figure given for the Christmas party without salaries is $20,000. If you include salaries and that, you find that figure comes to roughly $40,000 to $50,000. Why are we having to pay this? Ratepayers.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Butler. The staff Christmas party is a way to reward and recognise staff for their contribution to community throughout the
Don't
year.
they get paid wages and salaries?
Is that your second question?
Yes, why
That's
are
your
we paying for this when they get paid wages and...
So I've answered that question. Your second question is, do they get paid salaries and wages? Yes, they do. Do you have
Then
a
why
third,
are we paying for this out of our rates?
do you have a third question?
I better not. We don't get any decent answers. The ratepayers' money's just going down the drain all over.
Thank you. Any other questions?
My questions, Shirley Watt from Mundaring, Lake Bungana. My questions relate to the chopping down of the trees on Lake Bungana. So my first question is, before the council motion of Tuesday the 28th of January, which indicated that non-invasive vegetation on Lake Bungana should not be cut, can you please confirm that your contractor was instructed to cut all trees, both endemic and non-endemic, to 1 metre in height?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, the contractor was not instructed to cut all trees. The original scope that was prepared and quoted on did say that, but that was adjusted later on. Those trees that were non-invasives that were cut, they were done in error, basically.
So the second question is, following the council motion of Tuesday the 28th of January...
Sorry, do you mind just adjusting the microphone? Because I'm struggling to hear you, sorry.
Following the council motion of Tuesday the 28th of January, can you please state the exact date when your contractor was informed that he was not to chop non-invasive endemic trees, and by what means he was informed of this?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, we've investigated the matter. I provided a report to the CEO regarding the matter, and we've dealt with the matter, and I don't particularly want to go into all the specific details in the public forum about who said what in the process.
My third question then is, why did the city publicly blame the contractor for chopping the endemic Melaleuca trees when it would appear that it is the city's fault for not informing him on Wednesday, the 29th of January, before work commenced, that he was not to do this?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair. Basically, the contractor removed those trees in error, and assuming that the city did not instruct the contractor, that's not correct. You can't say that without knowing the full circumstances there. What I can say, it was done in error, and the contractor was told that we won't engage with them in future, also because of them using glyphosate when there was no instruction whatsoever given to them to use that product on the trees.
Thank you for your question.
Can I have a follow-up question to that?
No, we're already over time with
You
public
didn't give the
question
information
times.
about the discussions between you and the contractor. You
Thank
said you
you.
weren't going to do it.
Thank you very much for your question.
There'll be another question next time. Then.
Evening. Michael Limon from Maylands. I had a question about the cormorants around the lake. The amount of cormorants that we're talking about is 30 to 300, as the estimates that the city have provided in their email on the 24th of January. Where do those numbers come from? How were they determined?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, that was estimated based on observations by the consultant and also through discussions with local residents and other people who have information regarding how many there were. And like I said earlier, it said 30 to 300, but the consultant actually used a conservative figure in their calculations.
They used a figure of 100, I believe. Are you aware that BirdLife Australia, which is a non-profit organisation that advocates for native bird life, have conducted over a period of 10 months 8 surveys on the Maylands lakes and recorded on average 35 cormorants, and at the maximum they recorded 70 cormorants. They never recorded 300. And I've looked at data previously for previous years, same thing. So are you aware of that?
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, well, if you have a report that you can provide us, I'd like to have a look at that report.
Absolutely.
But the figures that the consultant used was actually derived from information that they've gathered, and I believe there's also photographic evidence showing how many cormorants there were as well.
So on that same memo of the 24th of January, you refer to 2 pieces of evidence. One is a report from the Netherlands that talk about how scientists calculate the guano load from cormorants, and the other was the bird numbers. But what I don't see there is how the consultant has actually derived the fact that he thinks that 30% of the loading of nutrients in the lake comes from the birds. Is there a report that the community can see that goes from those 2 pieces of evidence to an actual summary of that 30%? Because at the moment, for me, it's just conjecture.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the acting CEO.
Through the chair, the consultant's working on preparing the master plan. So the background work for that, all the studies that have been done to prepare the information for the master plan includes a water balance. In that water balance, there are figures that they've used. As I said earlier on, there is a session tomorrow night where the consultant will be presenting the master plan. Through that process, they can discuss how those figures were calculated.
Thank you. Are there any other
Thank you.
questions? If not, I'll close public question time. So, before I close that, councillors, just so you know, the city has received questions in writings from 4 ratepayers this evening. The questions and responses are listed in your run sheet, and I will take those as read. The questions and responses are also available on the city's website and will be provided in the minutes for this meeting. So I'll move on to item 7, which is confirmation of minutes. We'll move to confirm the minutes of the Ordinary Council meeting of the 28th of January 2025. Can I have a mover and seconder? Move Councillor Ostaszewski, seconded Councillor Maleka. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Item 8 is presentations. Do any councillors have a petition to table? No. And there are no presentations this evening, and deputations were heard at last week's agenda briefing forum. And there are no delegates' reports this evening. So we'll now move on to item 9, which is method of dealing with agenda business, and Councillor Maleka will be pulling first this evening. Nothing? Councillor Ostaszewski.
Thank you. I'd like to pull item 10.1.2, superannuation for elected members.
Councillor Easton.
Yeah, just 10.3.2, the Bayswater Bowling and Recreation CSRFF. That's it, thanks.
Councillor Palmer.
Thank you. 10.1.4, 10.3.5, as I have a slight amendment, and also a slight amendment on 10.4.1. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ladder. Councillor Palmer, if you can turn off your microphone.
10.3.1. And we'll already be dealing with 10.1.4 separately, is that correct? Yeah, thanks.
So that was 10.3.1. Deputy Mayor. Councillor Johnson.
Nothing further.
Okay. So we'll now move to consideration of the reports in section 10. Can I have a mover and a seconder to bring forward items 10.1.4 and 10.3.2, which were subject to deputations? Move Councillor Palmer, seconded Councillor Johnson. All those in favour? That is unanimous. So the first item is 10.1.4, out of school hours care, develop and operate at Gibney Reserve Maylands. Councillor Palmer, you've withdrawn, you've pulled this one.
Yes.
Would you like to move the officer's recommendation?
Yes, I'll move the officer's recommendation. Thank
Do I
you.
have a seconder? Councillor Ladder. Councillor Palmer.
Thank you. I do thank the words that have been spoken this evening, and I can really understand the use of it. When we do look at the actual graphs that are coming up, they do seem to be slightly empty. And I feel this is because we have to now wait for government recollection on what is going to actually occur with the finances. And I feel that both parties really had to hold back slightly. Or can I just say impartial interests, as I am chair? I just want to say it again.
Okay.
Just to make sure. So I've been fortunate enough to see how our Bayswater Childcare Association, BCCA, has sort of had to hold back on certain things. And I'm sure that Mosh Kids Pty Limited may have had to do the same. And there are steps to take with licenses and so forth. So I don't feel that our officers meant poor in the way that is expected. I think it's just a derivative of lacking some information. So it's not derogatory at all. And I think it's just, in a way, a strange thing that this came up at the time of this election, and we've had to just sort of wait. And when it comes to money, none of us can afford not to take it, so we have to wait patiently. So I have to confer with what the officer's recommendation is. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ladder.
Thank you. Firstly, I just want to say that I'm really pleased to see interest in the concept through the EOI process. With my previous motion to explore the option of a ground lease at Gibney Reserve, I hoped that it was a viable option, but we really didn't know until we went out for EOIs and saw what came back. And I do think that there's probably scope for those expressions of interest to develop in conversation with the city. They both show that it is a viable idea and it could lead to the outcomes that we want. However, since we undertook that EOI process, the state government has made a commitment to assist in resolving the out-of-school care crisis at Maylands Peninsula Primary School. I think that that's a testament to the advocacy of the community in Maylands and also our South Ward councillors on this issue over many years, and it's actually very heartening to see the state government stepping into the space and taking responsibility for the problem, because they already can control several components that contribute to that. So over the many years that this issue has been raised in council, I believe that councillors have become really familiar with the obstacles to on-site arrangements for out-of-school care at Maylands Peninsula Primary School. The general election commitment from WA Labor specifically seems to include a preference for on-site arrangement, but I'm not sure if that was done with an awareness of Maylands' particular issues in that regard. So I'm really keen to understand if the state has a plan for resolving these issues, if it is really going to involve partly an on-site solution, or if our ground lease option is going to be a part of the solution, and how their commitment would materialise if so. So it's clear that the prospective state government has now staked a claim on this issue and wants to take a lead. I'm keen to see what their vision is, but I do see the announcement as very good news, and will be advocating for a comprehensive solution to come out of this. And I hope for a very positive outcome for Maylands parents, which may well include following up on these expressions of interest and developing that further.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Deputy Mayor?
Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank the resident who came tonight to speak. I share her concerns, and I also think that this issue should be dealt with very, very soon. I think it's been more than 3 years since the first time when I brought this issue before the council for a decision, so it's been a long time. Nevertheless, if one of the major political parties committed to address and deal with this issue for our community, I think it will be prudent of us waiting a few more months and see how that goes. And again, they have committed to deal with this, so I do have strong expectation from that party that this issue will be resolved from now on. If not, I will be personally very upset, because then we should have actually resolved something tonight. But they committed to deal with that, so from my perspective, it will be dealt with in 2025. And I had conversations already with the school's principal, who is now in conversations with the Department of Education. They're all waiting after the election to understand what it actually means, what support they will be receiving, where this new facility will be located. It's all unknowns, so we should wait a bit more and see how it goes. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Johnson?
And no for or against, but I'll take the opportunity to make a few comments. I would obviously this issue has been such a long time coming, and we're still got a recommendation in front of us to delay even further. I hope it's a really short delay. I hope it is going to get sorted really soon. I would like to know that the kids at the school now are going to get access to out-of-school care, not kids that aren't even born yet. Like we will get out-of-school care there, and it would be good if it was sooner rather than later. I just want to thank the two applicants for putting in some really good and very exciting proposals so we can really see what a childcare or out-of-school care centre, all combined with childcare, looked like. And I really hope that the city can continue to engage with those folks to get a really good outcome here.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, there is a mirage of people behind council, behind our two South Ward councillors, Deputy Mayor Ellie Peterson-Pick and Councillor Nat Latter, and to thank, as I say, the speaker tonight that came with questions, and also the school that's been pushing for this for so long, and all the mums and dads that have just been, frustrated with the delay that's happened again. So we'll try, as you say, Councillor, to do this as fast as possible. Thank you.
I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. So the next item is 10.3.2 Bayswater Bowling and Recreation Club CSRFF application. Councillor Eason, you've pulled this. Are you moving the officer's recommendation?
Yes, thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. Thanks, Madam Mayor. First, thanks to the Operations and Bar Manager Shane for his deputation last week, and to the strong presence of bowlers in the chambers tonight. In their uniforms look very good. Look, the deputation last week was highly informative and provided the opportunity for Council to ask questions and probably better understand the context and reasoning around for this request, as well as a longer-term vision for the BBRC. Over the last 9 years or so, it's clear that the BBRC have diversified their offerings to enable alternative revenue streams, whilst also adding a significant value to the social aspect for the Bayswater community and beyond. Last week's deputation, as I mentioned, was highly informative, and it provided confidence, I guess, for me that they do run a very tight ship over at that club. It demonstrated that they've considered the impacts of this change, including the financial side, which is that it's quite a large contribution of 135,000 plus from the club to get this project happening. It's also clear that they understand the change impacts of having synthetic turf moving forward, with confirmation that they will commence a sinking fund for future works to maintain this green, in addition to the sinking fund that's already established for the synthetic turf that they already have. Shane was also kind enough to share a copy of their 3-year strategic plan with me earlier today, and that document does clearly demonstrate that they have a clear strategy and, most importantly, that they're executing it. But the other part for me is that the club is very clearly working closely with the city and shares information regularly to help guide the city and the officers in their requests. Clearly, it's a partnership which is exactly what the city is seeking from our clubs, and encourage other clubs to get really involved and work with the city so closely. But this doesn't happen by accident, and this level of profession is not lost on me. I'm involved in the club, as I mentioned earlier, so well done to everyone that's involved. I'll probably just do one more point before I go to the rest of the debate, but just to address I'll start to address the one troubling matter, I suppose, during question time, was why was this project not included in our 10-year forward capital works plan? Since last Tuesday, I did seek a better understanding of this because it seemed like quite an odd gap. We've got a very structured process in budgets now. It's very in-depth, it identifies all the assets, but I guess when I did query the city in regards to how this could have been missed, it wasn't missed. It was included, but we're actually changing the asset class of the turf going to synthetic surface, and our processes don't necessarily consider those sorts of upgrades. So it's good. We've identified a gap that we can try and close moving forward, and I think that's a really good benefit. So I'll leave it to the rest of the debate for the moment, but just wanted to close that one out at the beginning here. Thanks.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I'm also happy to support the club's application. The club has done fantastic work at their venue in recent years. They activated and revived the venue, collaborated with other clubs and groups, and it has become a local hub that I constantly hear positive feedback about from residents. So first of all, thank you to the management and members. It was clear from reading the officer's report and hearing the deputation of the club that it is going to be a win-win to everyone, and it will not only help the club to be more financially sustainable and less reliant on our city in the future, but it can also save money to our city around the ongoing maintenance costs. So by supporting this application, which means getting significant financial contribution from the state government, and helping to address the issues raised by the club, we will be able to focus on other bowling clubs and other clubs in our city, which might also need our help in making other improvements in their venues. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. These community sport and recreation facility fund grants don't come to us every day, but they do come to us occasionally, and we all know that it takes so much work from the clubs and the city to make it possible. And it's such a good opportunity, I think, when it gets to this point that we've got, some funding from the city, some funding from a significant amount of funding from the club and funding from state government as well, that third roughly. We heard it's a little bit less in this case, but, that funding program is such a good opportunity to improve our facilities. Just want to say on the club, the energy that comes out of that place could, light it up really, for what goes on at that club, from playing pennants, like actual bowls, to all the fun stuff around it that's made it, as the Deputy Mayor said, such a community hub is quite amazing. So I'm really pleased to be able to support this one and acknowledge the hard work of the club in getting it to this point.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ostowski?
Thank you. I agree with the comments already made by the councillors around the table. I just wanted to acknowledge an email that I've received from Shane from the club. Shane, I've read your email as well, and yes, I did ask some questions last week about the capital and operations funds that the city has provided to the 4 clubs in the city of Bayswater, and I was happy to receive that information, and because of that information, I'm happy to support this tonight.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Ladder?
Yeah, I think I just want to speak in support of this as well. There was some questions and a deputation from last week that raised questions around artificial turf, and I suppose I just wanted to clarify that replacing professional level turf with artificial turf is a very different calculation than replacing residential verge grass with artificial turf, because the amount of water and intensive fertiliser use on professional grade turf is really it's extremely high, and then so the environmental kind of risk calculation that you make is quite different. So I just wanted to clarify that. And that is a part of my reasoning. I think it's been really excellent to see Bayswater Bowling and Recreation Club thrive over the last few years, and I think that this will really set the stage for an even better future for them, and I'm very happy to support it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll just say a few words. What a success story. And that's really, a credit to all of the committee members led by Shane, where this club has gone, come from and where we are today is amazing. You've got huge, really high utilisation rates, lots of local members, I like to see that in our clubs. And what this is asking for is to support the change in turf. And I think as a council, we need to be flexible and adapt to the evolving needs of all our sports club, because the sports are changing. And this is a club that's doing everything right. And these are the type of clubs we need to support. And I'm really, really proud of what you've been able to achieve there for our community. So thank you for your work, and I'll be supporting what's on the table tonight. So I'll go to the mover to close.
Yeah, look, I probably said more than I needed to in the opening, but I just wanted to, run it to ground on why there was a concern around sort of throwing in 135,000 at this late stage in unbudgeted. So, but I do understand, and look, this is probably the strength of partnerships with clubs, is that we're learning from each other all the time. So it is good to have that free flow of communication. We've identified where we can improve as well, and that's going to help the city now in regards to business cases and just firming up details when we can look to alter assets to make them better, but also change, how we maintain them as well, which is a big part. So, but fingers crossed. I seek council support to include this co-contribution funding in FY26. Obviously, contingent on accepted the CSRFF, we'll give it a good go. So sure the city officers will do a lot of work to get that to happen. And fingers crossed we are successful. So, thank you.
Thank you. I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. There you go. Feel free to leave. Okay, so that concludes the items that were subject to deputations. And we will now move to consideration of the reports in section 10. Thank you. Don't feel like you have to stay.
Madam Mayor, sorry, just checking, 10.1.1, was this pulled by anyone?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. Would you
Oh, yeah,
like
so
to
we'd like
pull
to pull
it?
it.
Okay.
To vote against, please.
Yep, no worries. Okay, well, you just got it in time. So we'll now move to consideration of the reports in section 10 that have been withdrawn. So we're up to 10.1.1. Would anyone like to move this? Move Councillor Eveson, seconded Councillor Ostaszowski. Councillor Eveson, do you wish to speak to it?
No, I think it's very reasonable. There's going to be key people away for that meeting. So it's best to make sure that it's aligned and can be well represented and best decision making possible.
Councillor Ostaszowski. Deputy Mayor, you wish to speak against?
Thank you. Look, I was not convinced by this suggestion to change the dates of both the agenda briefing form and the ordinary council meeting 3.5 months before the scheduled meetings. I think if the fact that one elected member is missing does not require or need us to make those changes. I think it's too drastic. I don't remember during my time that we ever done something like that. When it comes to the budget, I think the budget can easily be moved to a special council meeting, as we were dealing with for many, many years. And it has its advantages anyway. So I think there is other solutions to deal with that issue around the budget, which ideally we will have all councillors around the table for that. But for the other stuff, agenda briefing form and the ordinary council meeting, I think that could stay. So that's my position.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, on my first meeting here this year, I was sort of inaugurated with the acting CEO, who's sitting there now, and also the deputy mayor. So at that time, that was an ordinary council meeting, and I cannot see why there should be any difference in having to reschedule. That's a really important issue, rescheduling a meeting, just because there's absenteeism. I think we can cope. It's not that you're indispensable. We respect that you're doing good work, going to see, advocacy and so forth. But at the same time, I think we can manage very, very well, as we've done previously at meetings with deputy mayors and acting CEOs. So I can't agree with this. I think it's important that we stick to the schedule, and we can just go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Ladder.
Yeah, I just want to also express that I think it's pretty unorthodox to change a scheduled meeting date because the CEO and the mayor are not going to be here for it. I think that whilst I understand that this is the meeting in which the mayor would like the budget to be considered, there are alternatives to doing that would ensure that we can all be present for the budget. And I don't think that it's the kind of a change that would be made for any other elected member. So I don't agree with it.
Thanks. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? I'll speak in favour of this. So unfortunately, this is the ALGA made a terrible decision to schedule this conference in the last week of June, when a lot of people have budgets and it's end of financial year, and I've made my thoughts very clear to WALGA, and I will be making it very clear when I'm in at ALGA as well, speaking to the organisers, that this is unheard of, that they have picked this type of week to have it. Normally they've had it in the past early June, or they've had it in early July. So it's really disappointing that they've had it here. But I believe that with the amount of notice that we have now, it is easy for us to be able to alter the schedule with plenty of notice for the community, plenty of notice for councillors. It is really crucial that both the CEO and the Mayor are here for the meeting in which the budget is decided. And I don't think there's any community benefit in not having the Mayor or the CEO at that meeting. And I don't think there's a community benefit for splitting it and having staff, have an extra meeting when it's not needed, when we have the ability to just delay it and give plenty of due notice for it. So that's why I'll be supporting it, and hopefully that feedback will get passed on to ALGA, where all local governments across Australia are invited to attend this important forum that happens once a year, that perhaps they will pick a more appropriate week in the future. Anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Look, thanks for the points. I'm not going. I think that's some good discussion. I think it's plenty of time, 3.5 months. It is the most important decision, so I think it's definitely important to have as much representation, and definitely the key people, the CEO and the Mayor, available and here when they're on. Otherwise, they'll be off doing business for the city, which it's crazy that they've had this conflict. But at least we've identified it early and can make an adjustment, which I think is very proper. Thank you.
I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Maleka, Councillor Osazowski, Councillor Easton, Councillor Johnson and myself. All those against? Councillor Palmer, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor. That is carried. Okay, so we go on to item 10.1.2, which is superannuation for elected members. Councillor Osazowski, you've pulled this.
Thank you. I've just found some new information within the last hour on this item, so I'd like to move an alternate, please. And I've just provided it to the minute takers just previously.
So I'll just wait for the minute taker to put that on the screen. Okay, so Councillor Osazowski, it's your your alternative motion is on the screen. Would you just like to point out what's different before I ask for a seconder?
Yep, excellent. The differences are in terms of the date, instead of the date that was currently in the report, I'm suggesting the date is from the 19th of October when it actually becomes a legislated requirement. I've removed the limb which talks about the 2024-25 budget, where we could actually afford to pay the superannuation. There would be no budget adjustment, so I've removed that. But I've also included limb 3, and this is the information that I've just found within the last hour. There's which talks about councillors are able to opt out of receiving superannuation, and I'd like to speak on that.
Do I have a seconder for what's on the table? Councillor Palmer. Councillor Osazowski.
Thank you. In regards to changing to the 19th of October 2025, I don't think it's necessary that we should be expending ratepayer money when we don't actually have to. It becomes a requirement for the local government to give superannuation from 19th of October. So anything between now and then, we're spending money because we have it. I don't think that's appropriate. And in regards to limb number 3, there is information in a fact sheet that the department has sent out about superannuation to local governments, and there is an option in there for elected members to opt out from receiving superannuation. I like that because this gives people the choice on how they'd like to handle this, and me personally, I don't feel comfortable receiving superannuation for this role, so I'm very happy that the legislation will allow me to opt out from this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think Councillor Osazowski has actually covered the most important points, so I have nothing else to add. Thank you.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Johnson.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Yeah, because I don't quite understand the powers that we have to opt out. I just want to know that that's like, that's something that we can do if we were to adopt this.
I'll go to the Manager of Governance.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, it is an option available to elected members to opt out of receiving superannuation. In order to do so, you must provide written notice to the Chief Executive Officer of your desire to opt out of the scheme. It is one of the bullet points in the report, but it's buried a little bit, so perhaps it wasn't obvious.
Thank you for clarifying.
Did you wish to speak to it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm happy with the changes of the date that makes sense to align it. We don't have to chuck money into the budget this year. That's fine. I really hesitate to support something where it's grandstanding, sort of weaponised a little bit about, oh, you take the super, you don't. But I actually do understand there's some people whose financial circumstances might make it a bit complicated to receive superannuation if you're already retired and you've already cashed out your super fund and stuff like that. So I do understand there's some circumstances where it might be appropriate, but certainly, and if that's something that, we're able to do, then that's fine, but certainly not to use it for grandstanding.
Thank you. Councillor Latta.
Thank you. Look, I think I'm willing to support this motion, but I guess about Lim 3, I just want to say that I think the introduction of superannuation for elected members is a massive step forward for equity. I think for people with a full-time job and then doing this on top of it, perhaps it doesn't make a difference. But for people who sacrifice the potential to earn income that would pay them superannuation, or people who are not otherwise able to earn other income, it's a massive equaliser. It opens up the possibility of running for council to more people who might otherwise look away from that because of the ways it would disadvantage them financially. So whilst I think it's fine for elected members to opt out of it, I think that it's important to understand that that the provision of superannuation is a matter of equity.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, I will speak against, and I will move the officer's accommodation.
So you're foreshadowing the
Yes, I will
officer's
foreshadow. Thank you. I do not support this. I think superannuation is a basic, it's not even a benefit, a basic standard aspect of employment, and all employees in our nation should be receiving that. It has taken a long time for the state government to allow local governments to do this easily, and now we are able to do this from the 1st of February. This motion talks about the 1st of March, as I understand it. There are no financial costs to that at this stage, and there's no financial implications in the sense that the city indicated that following the resignation of Councillor Clark, there is money in the budget for this purpose. So we're not going to be creating any problems with the budget. So I think that is wrong information to provide. There won't be any impact on that. I don't think we need to try and save money on the back of some councillors around the table who might really need a super. They might work less hours to provide better community service. They might actually reduce their job to part-time to provide the service that they think to provide to their community members who demand strong community representation. And to say, oh, when it comes to councillors, for standard practices like that, while all other employees in the city do receive super, we're going to push it as much as we can. I will speak out for those councillors who might not feel comfortable, Councillor Sosowski, to speak out for, and that's not okay. If a specific councillor does not want to get super, they can opt out even after the 1st of March. But to try to take the super, which is a basic thing for employees, and for anyone who does work, and we do work, we do work here, and push it away, I feel uncomfortable without asking each councillor what's their financial situation with their families. So I strongly ask councillors not to do that, and those councillors who feel more comfortable to wait, I urge them to actually opt out until October for those councillors who do think that their families and their kids, and they might have young kids, Councillor Sosowski, that they need that super to ensure that their future is there. Their future is ready with that small money. So I do ask councillors to think about those councillors who might need it.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak again? For? Anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you. In regards to the 19th of October, this is the point at which the state government has said that the local governments are required to pay superannuation to council members. In regards to the opting out, this gives the councillor the personal choice to make that decision. So when we have councillors speaking about family needs, other commitments, financial situations, by all means, if you feel like the superannuation is good for you and is right for you, you can do that. I have a personal feeling and a personal belief that for me as an elected member, I should not be getting superannuation. That is my personal belief. Therefore, I wish to exercise my right under the legislation to opt out. I'm not asking anyone else to opt out. Stay in by all means. That's not a problem. That's your personal choice based on your feelings about what superannuation provides. That's totally fine. For me, personally, I do not feel, for me as a councillor, that it is right for me to be getting superannuation, and that's why I'd like the option, or at least for councillors to note, that I will be exercising that option to opt out.
Sorry, I do have a point of order before we go to the vote.
Just one moment.
Yes.
What's the point of order?
Sorry, because I did hear some information that I would like to clarify with the city if it is correct. So I heard that...
I just have to check if that's a point of order. Sorry, Deputy Mayor, it's not a point of order. It's a question, but the closing's already happened, so you can't ask a question.
So I cannot ask questions.
It's closed.
At this stage?
The debate's closed.
What does it... So I said it before we close the debate.
No, Councillor Ostrzewski closed debate. There's no questions after the
so can I just
closing.
clarification about point of order? If a councillor states wrong information, there is no point
There's
of order?
no point of order for accuracy.
Can we just clarify it with the manager?
Is there a point of order for accuracy? No, there's not.
There is no point of order of accuracy.
No.
Thank you.
I've asked many times. Okay, so I'm going to put what's on the table to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Ostrzewski and Councillor Palmer. All those against? Councillor Maleka, Councillor Eveson, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Johnson and myself. We now go to the foreshadowed motion from the Deputy Mayor. Is it the officer's recommendation? Is there a seconder? Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, councillors, that you took into account the individual circumstances of people around this table. I think it means a lot. And I hope that all other councillors will do that. And as I said, any councillor who does not want the money can opt out. But if we were not to actually go to the foreshadowed motion, that was not an option. It actually would have ruled out to each councillor of us. So I thank councillors for supporting this.
Councillor Latta.
I just want to say thank you for a really good speech because you changed my mind in the middle of debate. I was prepared to vote for the other one, but really the thing that swayed me was that there is nothing that prevents councillors from opting out now if you don't want to receive it. So I think that that's really covered by it, and this way it doesn't disadvantage anybody who might actually benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just ask a question to the Manager of Governance? The officer's recommendation as it is, does that allow councillors to opt out?
Through you, Madam Mayor, the option to opt out is available to councillors through legislation. You don't need to resolve upon it to allow an elected member to opt out of superannuation. It just has to be provided in a notice in writing to the Chief Executive Officer, and then you will not be paid superannuation contributions.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Palmer.
Not against, but I just want to say that it's not employment money, it's allowance, and I think that's got to be stressed very carefully. This is an allowance that we receive, not an employed wage. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Anyone wish to speak against? If not, I'll go to the mover to close.
Thank you. I'll just highlight superannuation is not an allowance. It is a standard payment by employers for their employees. And all employees in the country should be receiving that. Thank you.
I'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. Okay, so we now have item 10.1.3, which is Morley Station Precinct Structure Plan MRS Amendment. No one's pulled this. There's just some impartial interest. So would someone like to move the officer's recommendation? Councillor Ostrowski, seconded Councillor Palmer. Councillor Ostrowski?
I don't need to say anything on this one, thank you.
Councillor Palmer? Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll put it straight to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.2.1 Financial Report for the period ended 31 January 2025. No one's pulled this, but there's an impartial interest. Do I have a mover? Deputy Mayor, seconded. Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Latta. Anyone wish to speak against? I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? That is unanimous. The next item is 10.3.1 Bayswater Waves Pool Heating Business Case for Renewable Energy Options. Councillor Latta, you've withdrawn this. Are you moving the officer's recommendation? Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ostrowski. Councillor Latta.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that I found it a very interesting report to read, and I did some additional reading. There's like a report from the City of Canning and some of the reports in Town of Vincent. And I think the technology has come a long way in the last 20 years. And I think the officer's recommendation is really modest to explore it further and develop a tender. I think the economics of geothermal heating is like quite site specific, so I think that we actually won't know like real estimates until we get that detailed hydrogeological study and understand the features that we are working with. So, but I'm really pleased to see this on the table. It represents the potential for a really giant leap forward for the City of Bayswater in moving towards net zero emissions. The current gas boiler represents a huge portion of the city's greenhouse gas emissions, and I think finding a way to drastically reduce and remove that source is a really excellent step forward.
Thank you. Councillor Ostrowski. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. I think Councillor Latta actually said it really well, that we're using most of our gas is being burnt off, heating up the pool there, and really excited that we've progressed to the point as a council and through our strategies and the economics have caught up, they've progressed to a point where we can actually be making this decision and having a look to see what hot stuff lurks beneath Morley and to heat up our pool.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Palmer.
I just love the line that everybody can see on page 84. The 30-year cost saving versus business as usual. And you can go all the way along the line and it's 9.8 million. So I think it's good to know that we've got great figures in our business heads with our officers. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll go to the mover to close. I'll put that to the vote. All those in favour? That's unanimous. The next one is 10.3.5 Illingbridge Street footpath petition. Councillor Palmer, you've provided an amendment that you wish to move.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Latta. Councillor Palmer.
Thank you. It's basically just continuing on from what has previously been there. So it's Lim 2, and basically we're saying request the Chief Executive Officer to continue with the installation of a footpath on Illingbridge Street, Morley, as previously approved by Council and scheduled in the 24-25 budget. So that's the addition to that change. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Latta.
No, I think I just want to say that that we've dealt with this already multiple times, and so I don't think there is any reason to change that decision. I don't think we have any new information, and I believe that the previous decision of council has already begun to be implemented. So I don't believe that we should or could reverse that.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone? Councillor Euston.
I will. Look, and I'll foreshadow a motion that seeks to cease the project again, I suppose, but I'll go to some details if we get to that point. Look, I'll speak against. I thank the City for this report and for accepting the petition, which I submitted on behalf of the majority of residents on Illingbridge Street in Morley, who don't believe that this footpath should be installed on their street. Footpaths still remain a contentious issue on council, it would seem, which is why will continue to encourage the City to refine the footpath program criteria and the means in which these footpaths are selected for delivery. We need to make sure that the footpaths we are paying a lot of money to install are in fact the priority footpaths that should be installed. They need to be ranked pragmatically according to clearly defined criteria. With this footpath, I'm not convinced of this criteria or high priority, and this is why I've foreshadowed an alternative motion to cease delivery of a footpath in Illingbridge Street in Morley, and why I won't be supporting what's on the table.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak in favour? Anyone wish to speak against? Deputy Mayor, you have a question?
Yes, first a question, please, Madam Mayor. Just about the process of petitions. My question is whether each petition or every petition lodged on council leads automatically to a council report on the petition.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Manager of Governance to respond.
Through you, Madam Mayor, yes, if there is time for a report to be prepared, then generally a report will be prepared and presented at the next available council meeting on the petition. If the petition relates to an item on the agenda, the standing orders require that the council considers that petition before they make a decision on that item, and that might be a verbal report from the CEO or director.
Okay, thank you. Just a few comments without trying to repeat everything that we debated last time. And I think before that, first of all, I'd like to acknowledge those who signed the petition, and I understand that they have concerns. It is unfortunate that we are in a situation that some do not want a footpath on the street, and some really urged us to support a new footpath on the street, including, I think we received deputations, if I recall, for parents with young children that explained how their kids scoot on the roads, and they are concerned about their safety. We received a deputation from a couple in their 90s talking about their accessibility issues and that they deserve to have a footpath, and many others. So I will support again those in need for more safety, instead of those who would like to maintain their verges as is. Even though I do respect that some are very connected to their verges, I will go with the safety of the kids and the elderly.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Johnson.
Thank you. I mean, I've said before, we have discussed this one before, and other footpaths. Yeah, if someone had asked me if I wanted a footpath outside my house, I would have said no. Luckily, they didn't ask. They put in the footpath, and I've just seen the benefits that it has for the neighbourhood. This footpath was requested a gazillion years ago. I think we're, well on the pathway to building it, and and I think we should. So I'm supporting this. But if this does not pass for the residents of the street, of Ealing Bridge Street, I'm sorry for you because you're missing out.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? I just have a question to the acting CEO. Can I just get confirmation as to whether Council's resolution on this item has been substantially commenced?
In terms of the project, the contractor has been organised, designs have been prepared, and pretty much all the groundworks are ready to go. So I would say yes, we have substantially commenced the project.
Thank you. So I'll speak to this. Councillor Johnson, I have to just address one of the points that you made in your debate about you weren't consulted and a footpath was put on, and you're happy about that. I'm going to say I believe in consultation, so I don't know if that's actually a positive. So hearing the advice from the acting CEO is going to help me make this decision. I didn't support this when this came to council initially. I didn't support the footpath, but the advice from the city is that the council resolution has been substantially commenced. And for that reason and that reason alone, I will be supporting what's on the table. Deputy Mayor.
So just a question, if I can, following up from your questions about the implementation. So just through you, Madam Mayor, to the acting CEO, if that is the case, if it was already substantially commenced, does that mean that council cannot make a decision tonight to not continue with the works?
Through the chair, the contractor's organised for the works. The designs have been prepared, so it's ready to go on the ground in terms of actually building the path. So we've sort of gone down a process where we're ready to go. If we decide, council can decide not to build it, but there could be some implications with the contractor.
So there is some discretion to the council?
Well, council can stop any project if they wanted to.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? If not, I'll go to the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's not often that we have a council decision approved by council that suddenly comes back as an item to change. I feel that legally, and I'm sure governance, sort of must be bristling about this, as far as I'm concerned, I would be. This has been substantiated and approved by councillors around the table. There may not have been 100% majority, but it has been approved. And the fact that the works have been underway, quoted, chosen, and ready to roll, this, I feel legally, is in situ. And that's why I'm pleased to have the recommendation to continue with the installation of a footpath on Ealing Bridge Street. Thank you.
I'll now put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Maleka, Councillor Osazowski, Councillor Palmer, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Johnson and myself. All those against is Councillor Eveson. That is adopted. So we now go on to Item 10.4.1, proposed change of use to health centre. Councillor Palmer, you've provided an amended or an alternative motion.
Thank you, Madam Mayor.
And that's been
This is an
provided
amendment of an extra limb. Thank you.
of an extra limb. Yep, so that's been provided to all councillors in the run sheet. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Ossowski. Councillor Palmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll just read it out to make it clearer.
Just limb 5?
Limb 5, yes. Prior to the occupation of the health studio, an acoustic report prepared by a qualified acoustic consultant shall be lodged with the and approved by the city, and shall include the following, but not limited to: measures to control noise for patrons, equipment, music and sound systems, and mechanical plant equipment. All the recommended measures included in the approved acoustic report shall be implemented prior to the occupation of the health studio to the satisfaction of the city. And that was that. Can I give the reasons why?
Yes, go ahead.
Thank you very much. I'm happy, and to join in with the approval of this, with this extra limb, simply because there are villas at the back of the location on Stegley Place, and there had been about 4 years ago, and these people, of course, are not going to, do it. So there had been problems with the dropping of equipment that reverberates through the concrete and affected the villas at the rear in Stegley Place. There had been acoustic reports that the city did for the residents there, which was ongoing for quite a while. So this is just a precaution, and I wish them luck in the health studio. Hope it's very successful, but this is just an extra precaution for that issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ossowski.
And in addition to that, we also have the houses that go along the laneway right behind there as well, and they're abutting that laneway, which abuts this property as well. So I think it's only fair and reasonable for their sake as well.
Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to... Councillor Evson?
Not speak against, but just questions, please.
Yeah.
Sorry, because obviously you're just seeing this now. Can the city provide some advice on probably two elements? The first one is it mentions that there's a health club adjacent or not far away. Would the city happen to know if an acoustic report was requested for that development?
I'll go to the director.
Thank you. I can't advise whether this specific condition was applied through that application. However, we always apply an advice note that that advises the any business that they have to comply with the environmental protection noise regulations in relation to noise. Notwithstanding, we are aware there has been complaints regarding noise from this area with respect to some of those businesses, and therefore we have no objection to the condition.
Okay, thank you. The other one was, can the city provide some guidance on the cost of an acoustic report of this nature?
I'll go to the director.
Thank you. It has been some time since I've requested an acoustic report in the private industry, but it would be potentially between $1,500 and $3,000.
Okay, thank you.
Did you wish to speak to it?
No, not this time.
Okay. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Johnson?
Just in regard to the approved hours, I just want to confirm that they're the hours that the applicant requested.
I'll go to the director.
Through the chair, that is my understanding.
Did you wish to speak to it? No. Anyone wish to speak against? Anyone wish to speak for? I'll go the mover to close.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just briefly to say thank you to the officers for preparing the amendments. Thank you.
Okay, I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That is Councillor Maleka, Councillor Ossowski, Councillor Palmer, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Johnson and myself. All those against? Councillor Evson. That is carried. Okay, we'll now move to adopt the remaining items in section 10 en bloc. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Move Councillor Latta, seconded Councillor Maleka. All those in favour? That is unanimous. We'll now move to notices of motion. So it's 11.1. Councillor Josh Eveson, mobile food vehicle permits at Crimea Park.
Did you want me to read it through? Or?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion is that Council, dot point 1, does not support new permits to operate a mobile food vehicle at Crimea Park until such time the mobile food vehicle guidelines are reviewed. And dot point 2, instructs the Chief Executive Officer to undertake a review of the mobile food vehicle guidelines, including changes to trading zones, restrictions and approved locations.
Do I have a seconder? Councillor Starski. Councillor Eveson.
Thanks, Councillor. Look, mobile food trucks continue to activate spaces across the city, promoting people to get out and about and be connected with friends and family. In the last few years, Council have endorsed changes to support food trucks, which have been very successful. I think we've got quite a thriving community and can always do more. However, recent concerns have been raised in regard to Crimea Park as a specific location with some challenges, and this motion seeks to consider adjustments to provide balance at Crimea and ensure that there's a balance between food truck activation and support for nearby local businesses, not to the detriment of the local businesses. So that's why I'm bringing this motion forward to Council for consideration.
Thank you. Councillor Starski.
I don't wish to add anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Palmer.
Thank you. I was going to wait to be the last speaker against, but I'm glad in a way I'm the first. Look, with great respect to the businesses there, which we know of, I live in McGillivray, so I'm, sort of only a kilometre away. So, they're part of the area of good business. They do have good business there. I see it. I've not sort of used Ulster Grill or the other businesses there, but I know that they are well catered for and are successful. I also know that the actual Crimea sports area, where a couple of the mobile food vehicles stay, they're very, very well accepted and needed in a park area within that vicinity. It's a wide, good parking area for visitors. These people are just as much business people as are the bricks and mortar on the corner of Crimea. They are just as well respected, they work just as hard, and they need a place. And we can't just say, don't come to Crimea. Who are we to say to business people, you're not allowed to come into Crimea until we say so and until we approve the lines? I just think that's just too over the top. We have reviewed this so many times in the past, and here we are again regurgitating the trading zones, restrictions and approved locations. Crimea Park is absolutely perfect for mobile food vehicles. It is a wide street, it's a main road, has good parking and safe parking, and it's opposite a park where people take their little picnic, go and sit in the park with food that they've brought not just from the bricks and mortar place, but also from the mobile food vehicles. I just think it's too far gone and not necessary. So I'm speaking against it because I think it's nearly rude to say don't have food vehicles there until such time as the vehicle guidelines are reviewed.
Councillor Palmer, just
you.
a point of order to keep comments respectful. Councillor Johnson.
So I have a question, probably for the mover. So I think I heard you say that one of the reason that you were bringing this because of concerns about competition with nearby businesses. Is that correct?
There's been some challenges with, I guess, direct comparison or direct competitive food offerings from food trucks that are also already available at bricks and mortar businesses within 150 metres of that location. And that's what's been raised with me by local businesses on that corner that are having, one of the specific examples is that one of the businesses actually had one of the food truck vendors buying food off them and then reselling it at the park as an example. So I think it's very wise for council to... Oh, sorry, that's the answer to the question. I can't debate.
Thank you. Can I ask a follow-up then? Sorry, you said about the 150 metres. Is that a planning consideration or is that just the actual distance?
No, there's actually, it's the distance, and there's, in the guidelines, there is some parameters around how close food trucks can be to operating businesses. And Crimea, in the last review, I do recall that this was a point that probably I was like, having seen crime. Sorry, that's
So
answered the
just-
question.
yeah.
Sorry. Yes, it's in the policy and...
It's in the guidelines.
Yeah, it's in the
not
guidelines. Sorry, it's not a
policy.
policy. It's in the guidelines, and that's why I mentioned it specifically.
Thank you. So I will speak on that, and thank you for the clarification. And always very happy to hear what folks have got to say about this. I've got a bit of experience running a food van myself, and I'm really proud that we've got this policy. And yes, we have reviewed it a gazillion times. I think the guidelines then already cover that thing about distance, but also my recollection is that competition is not a planning consideration. I know this is not strictly a planning document, it's an internal policy. There's really nothing to say you couldn't have two, health clubs in the same complex, or two fast food restaurants on the same corner, or two yoga studios, operating out of the same council-run building. That's kind of not a consideration, because we know businesses will find their place. Whether if they're buying the same, chicken and salad roll from a food van or from a bricks and mortar, they find their own people. Because I know from a food van, it's not for everyone. It's great if you've got a dog or kids running around on the grass. If you want to have a sit-down meal and a bit of service, or, quiet or away from the flies, that's, if we're talking about food businesses, they're different offerings, and I think everyone finds their place. I think if a business can get going from a food van, it's like a little incubation hub, and so many of our bricks and mortar businesses have come from food vans or something similar. So ruling it out at Crimea, it doesn't seem to make sense. I think we can deal with it under the guidelines already if there's any issues. Competition's not something I don't think we can really consider. I think it said in the report something about mess. I think that can be dealt with under the guidelines and under the current rules that we've got. So not supporting this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? Councillor Maleka?
Thank you. Look, I think there is much merit in this motion. What I think it is doing is showing support for the bricks and mortar venues, as well as it's showing support for a healthy competition of our food trucks. Look, we don't want it. We want all of our businesses to thrive. So I don't think this motion intends to remove food trucks, but rather it's intending to review the offerings. It's intending to review the practices of the food trucks alongside the bricks and mortar businesses to help minimise overlap and to offer a more wide variety of offerings. So I'm happy to support this.
Thank you. Councillor Palmer?
May I ask a question, please?
Yes.
Thank you. Councillor Maleka has just said that we're not stopping food trucks, but this actually says does not support new permits, which come up in March.
So what's the question?
That was the question that I think that was a wrong statement.
So we're not
Okay.
debating. You can't go into debate. You've already debated. Anyone wish to speak against? Councillor Latta?
Look, I think I feel a bit uncomfortable about Lim 1. I haven't been around for all of these reviews previously, so I'm not necessarily opposed to having a review, but I feel like it's quite harsh to almost prejudice the outcome of that review by preventing people from continuing to trade when that was their expectation that and they've built their businesses on the places that they trade in. And I feel like if we had just done a review and then they would know that it was coming and they could make up other plans, I just think that for a business to have to pivot in this way, and it's already a really hard time for many businesses, and I'm sure that extends to mobile businesses like this, I feel like it's a step beyond what I'm willing to support. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Anyone wish to speak for? I will. So as Mayor, I have had a lot of contact with particularly the bricks and mortar businesses located in the Crimea shopping district there. And they have reached out to me multiple times because of the food offerings that are available at Crimea 150 metres away from them. So what they have communicated to myself is that when they sign a lease at the physical building shopping centre, their lease has in there anti-competition clauses. So, for instance, the kebab shop is not allowed to sell fish kebabs because there's also a fish and chip shop there. And the kebab shop, for instance, cannot sell coffee because there's the panini bar there that sells coffee. So those shops within that shopping district are not allowed to compete. It's against their lease to compete with each other. And yet the council then allow, and so they sign up to those leases that are long-term, expensive, they pay their rates, which are now differential rates or whatever, right? They contribute to our community through that. And yet the council, through these guidelines, allows mobile food trucks who do not contribute and pay rates to operate right next to them. And that is having, from the horse's mouth, that is having a detrimental impact on their business. They're not asking for never any food trucks. They're just asking for us to reconsider the offerings, that they are not in direct competition with them. That, you know, right now at Crimea, we know what the businesses are, and they have been long-term businesses that are there. And then there could be different mobile food trucks at Crimea Park selling different offerings. For instance, there's not an Indonesian food van, or there's, business in Crimea. There's not a Chinese restaurant in Crimea. Those type of food offerings would be very welcome at Crimea because they are not taking away or competing exactly with the same food offerings. And that's what those bricks and mortar business owners, local business owners, small family run businesses are telling me. And so, you know, I will always support our ratepayers. I will always support people who are committed to the city of Bayswater, who aren't transient businesses and go there if and when they please. I will support the people who have invested into our community. And by doing a review in this, it's not limiting the other people, because when you get a food vendor permit for the city of Bayswater, you can operate in a number of locations. We have lots of locations where food trucks are able to go. So we're not saying you cannot operate in the city of Bayswater. We're saying this motion is saying we're going to pause any new permits being issued until we review what is the best way to manage Crimea, right? And if you go there, and I drive past there every single day and I see they're setting up restaurant-style type on the park. So they're putting in poles and festoon lighting into our park area. Have we considered the damage to our green spaces when they're putting that? There's lots of tables and chairs. They're using our bin. We've had people on the community groups post businesses washing their utensils and trays and stuff from the water taps in our parks, which is for their business use, but it's our water usage. There's all these things to consider that's actually happening right now at Crimea Park. So for the purposes of just pausing and reviewing and supporting our bricks and mortar ratepayers who have given a lot to be there and be there all the time for our community, not just on a Friday night or on a Saturday night, but all the time for our community. I don't feel that this is unreasonable at all. And I think that we can get a better outcome for everybody involved, for our bricks and mortar, for the food truck and for our community, if we just spend the time to review this and take into consideration all of those concerns and find a better way forward. So for that reason, that's why I'm supporting this motion. Anyone wish to speak against? Go ahead.
Thank you. I'd like to start with a few questions, if I can, Madam Mayor. It was mentioned the rates of the brick and mortar. Does the food van pay a permit fee?
Yes.
Did you? Okay, I just wanted to check that. The time frame or if council supports this motion, what will be the time frame for the review? What are we, when is the deadline? When is it going to be presented? I'm assuming it will go to the council, right? It will not go to the policy committee. It's not a policy, right?
I'll go to the director.
Thank you, through the chair. The notice motion currently does not have a time frame, but we can probably bring it back to council in the next 2 to 3 months. And yes, you're correct, it's a guideline, so it would not need to go through policy.
So 3 months. And how many, do we know how many food van permits we currently have? Is it specific for Crimea Park?
I'll go to the director.
Thank you. So the mobile food permits that we issue are for a number of locations. I can state what they are if you would like. Yeah.
For Crimea Park?
So all food vendors can operate from a range of locations.
So any food vehicle in the city with a permit can go to any park at any
Correct.
time?
Yep, in a court, and it's on page 162 of the agenda. All those listed, they're able to attend those locations.
Okay.
In terms of the number that we currently have, some are due for renewal very shortly. It is 21.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'll make a few comments. I actually share the views, all the views that I had around the table. I must say, I understand all considerations. For me, the issue here, when it's specifically in Crimea Park, because we have to touch that, because that's part of this motion, is not necessarily to help food vans. It sounds a bit like competition between, like the whole discussion was around the food vans versus the brick and mortar, but for me, the food van is for our residents. For me, we are providing activation of that public space, and I went there to see what we were talking about and spoke with residents who were there and who live around the park. This is one of the most activated parks in the city of Bay, a massive success. And I understand that it might create some concerns to some businesses. I understand that. But just for itself, this is a massive success. And I think it's maybe even the best activated park in the whole city of Bayswater. So it's sad in that respect that Crimea Park is again coming back in a negative way. I remember the motion that we discussed a year and a half ago with regards to the dancing duck and the permanent electricity power connection that council refused. So that also was attracted negative aspects. So it is for the residents, first of all, to provide safety. There is a skate park, there are sporting clubs, there is a playground. Some of the businesses, and I checked their operating hours, some of them are actually closed actually in the time that the food vans arrive. So I think there are also different needs. However, I don't want to hear concerns from brick and mortar businesses who are there nearby. I don't think that, I would like to hope that there is a middle way that we can have something that we can still provide the activation and we can still have different attractions in different corners of that area. My concern, and I do actually echo Councillor Leder exactly, my concerns with this motion is number one. I was happy to support number two immediately. I'm happy with the review if this is what council wants to do. Number one concerns me because that leads to me to the thinking that the outcome of the review is already known. And I don't support reviews where the outcome is already known. And the whole review here is about Crimea Park, is about, I think it was mentioned during the debate. So instead of that, I would have preferred to actually see a notice of motion with all the stuff that we want to change, and we can debate that instead of spending the time and send the officers. So that is my concern. I'm actually need to make a decision quickly because I'm the last one, I think. And I'm torn a bit because I share all the comments. But as I said, bottom line, I support the review. I don't like this focus just on Crimea Park. This is a review of the whole guidelines. So it's not the guidelines just for Crimea Park. I don't support that. I will support because any change will apply to every park. So I just don't like that focus constantly on Crimea Park, even though I understand the concerns came around this park. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that is everybody. So I'll go to the mover to close.
Thank you. I'll do my best to address some of the concerns raised in debate. This motion is not seeking to exclude or try and shut down Crimea Park at all. Quite to the contrary. There's some thriving food trucks, and Crimea, we want to see that continue. I have also seen Crimea rise and fall as a premier location, and I've spoken to the food vendors that were there the previous time when it really rose and got so busy that people were fighting for spots and things like that. So I did actually have this concern when we reviewed the policy previously. It didn't turn out that way, even though people were, food vendors were contacting me and saying, we want to get this up and going. We want to get back there again to what it was like. It's one of these difficult spots, and that's why it is very targeted on Crimea Park. Just to address the Deputy Mayor's comments at the end there, I don't agree that a policy review would have impacts far-reaching across the city. This motion is actually on Crimea Park because we made policy review changes, guidelines. I keep saying policy. We made this changes to this guidelines, and it's overall successful, about 95%. It's the only location that I've heard of any other issues from food trucks and what's going on there, but I don't want to see it burn out and fizzle, and that's the reason why I'm trying to intervene at this point. Let's pause, let's look at what's going on, let's assess the specific conditions around Crimea, and let's try and find a way forward for everybody that works. We want the activation, we want to support the local businesses, we want Crimea to be full of people having a good time. Absolutely, that's not the intention, and I would strongly refuse that that's not what this motion is for. I think that I've covered all the dot points that I've managed to scribble down. As I mentioned, it was a premier location previously, and it did fizzle out on its own accord. I don't want to see that happen again. So this is just trying to intervene in a moderate way to give the city time to assess what's going on, talk to the people that we can talk to, and try and find a way forward to keep Crimea pumping and make sure that local businesses are supported, which I think is possible.
Thank you. I'll put this to the vote. All those in favour? That's Councillor Maleka, Councillor Sosowski, Councillor Eveson and myself. All those against? Councillor Palmer, Councillor Latta, Deputy Mayor, Councillor Johnson. I'll use my casting vote, and that is carried. Okay, so we now go to item 12, which is questions from members without notice. Are there any questions? Councillor Latta.
Yes, sorry, I wrote it down. Earlier during question time, there was a statement made in one of Catherine Lance's questions that said that Maylands Peninsula Estate are charged like a different, I think the implication was a higher rate than other residences in the city. And I just wondered if the city can clarify if there is like some differential there apart from Landgate's property value.
Thank you for your question. I'll go to the Director to respond.
Thank you for the question. Through you, Madam Mayor. I believe that Mrs Lance's statement was along the lines that the properties in the Maylands Lakes Peninsula pay a significant percentage more than the average of City of Bayswater rates in general. As Council are aware, there's two variables when you calculate rates. There's the rate in the dollar that the local government sets, and that's multiplied by the gross rental value set by Landgate. The rate in the dollar is the same across all residential improved properties for the whole City of Bayswater. So the only variable that would make the value of rates more than the average, it's driven solely by the gross rental value applied from Landgate.
Okay, thank you.
Can I just clarify that like in layman's term, if you can get more rent for your house, the Department of Lands gives you a higher gross rental value?
That's correct, Madam Mayor. It's based on the weekly rental value of your property.
Yeah. So if you own a more expensive house, it's likely that your rates would be higher.
That's very likely.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, thank you. I was asked today by a long-term resident in the city, Jen Weir, in her 90s, what's happening with the graffiti on Williamson's Motor House and Albany Bell Hatchery on Guildford Road that I raised here a few times. She asked whether she's going to see it in her life, those clean heritage buildings. And I told her that I will ask that question because we have been following up and I know the city is helping with this.
Thanks,
And
Philip.
the follow-up question, whether the city can continue with the works and charge those owners.
I'll go to the director.
Thank you for the question. The city is actively following that up and is liaising with the Department of Heritage on that matter. The last recollection, I can't recall, there are 2 properties that we're dealing with down there, 88 to 90 and 106 Guildford Road. And in both instances, there has been potentially little traction with the owners, so we're trying to pursue other avenues, but I can provide some more information in writing.
Thank you. And just sorry, follow up, because specifically with the Williamson's garage, I think this is owned by the aged care facility, and they said that they are going to continue with the work soon, and I'm not sure what soon was, so
Yeah,
it'd be good to get time frames.
Yep, I'll come back to you on
Thank
that.
you so
That's
much.
fine.
Any other questions? Councillor Eveson.
Just banging some stuff down while I think about it. So, just noting the recent announcement from WA Labor regarding build to rent model housing. Has there been any specific discussions about this as a means to support the recently reapproved Galleria development?
Thank you. I'll go to the director.
Thank you for the question. No, that has not been sought. There has been no questions asked of the city in relation to that.
Cool. Thank you. Another one was, have we had any news regarding the old Bunnings site at all? That because it continues to sit dormant in our Morley Town Centre.
I'll go to the director.
Thank you. No, the city has not received any updates on that property.
Okay, thank you. And just one last one, just with all the reporting that's been going on. So there continues to be maintenance issues with state-owned infrastructure within the city, along the main corridors. It's the pedestrian access ways with overgrowth and things like that. It's driving lots of reporting. I just wanted to know: is the city having challenges with those relevant state departments that are supposed to maintain those areas? Are we seeing any backlog in work, or are they being speedy to respond to these queries that the city is passing on?
I'll go to the director. Being director.
Through the chair, Madam Mayor. Look, the city has an experience. We understand that some of the state government authorities have had backlogs in a lot of these requests. However, the city has not had any, I guess, further complaints in terms of the delay of actioning some of these items. Every time that the city has received a particular request such as those, we forward them to the state government, and they, most of the time, they do it in a timely manner, and we haven't received any complaints about significant delays in that matter.
Probably just a follow-up, because there's one specific issue for a gentleman that keeps contacting me just regarding, and I think it's to do with the copper theft that's happening with lighting. There's a lot of lights out that are still around that Lightning Park area. And I know the city's issued a CCTV mobile unit to try and stop or cease that issue. Has that been rectified? I haven't seen it yet.
Through the chair, we could follow that up. That'll be a Western Power action item. They do prioritise the work depending on the type of work with Western Power, and they do normally focus on urgent areas such as bushfire prone areas, especially nearing the summer season, end of summer season, but we could follow that up.
Any other questions? Okay, I'll move on to item 13, new business of an urgent nature. There is none this evening. Item 14, meeting closed to the public. There are no confidential items this evening. So I will close this evening's meeting at 9:03 p.m. Thank you, everyone.